way down. We're right up on the Oldsmobile, dive in there. Try to go for a little bit of a late apex, hopefully I can make it stick. And all car guys, just the same whether you're doing this for real and doing 180 miles an hour and it's 120 degrees in there and it's dangerous, or whether you're having a great time at home in your living room. What's up, people? I am back at Andrew's house for his simulator. We've got the iRacing program set up with a Corvette C6 GT1 car, which will be relatively similar to the Genius Garage late 80s IMSA tube-frame Corvette that we ran at Road America earlier this year. So I thought today it'd be fun to get in the sim, and I know you guys want to talk about the wood, but hey, everybody's got to have something cool. Get with the program, get with the Oculus Rift, and feel what it's going to be like and how different that is. I just did a lap just to kind of acclimate myself. So let's see. Then we'll come back to the real car and talk about that. All right. So this is, you know, reasonably similar to the Genius Garage car. I mean, kind of feeling it. I mean, the pedals that are simulated in here are the real life. Of course, that means nothing because I'm not actually using those. I would love to shift the shifter because that would be like that. However, it's pretty similar, so let's give it a try. Now my sound isn't very high, so the amount of sensitivity I get back in terms of running a simulator is low, so I'm kind of having to do this way more on visual acuity. And since it's only just a little bit of force feedback that's dialed in to what Andrew did, I mean, it's not going to be exact, but I just want to talk about that. So here we are. Let's see. How great are these tires right now? I mean, Road America is mapped beautifully. The iRacing is fantastic. So we're going to see. This is going to be really odd. I've never driven something with paddle shifting that I have to clutch. So that is weird. So in this car, the way it's set up, I can just blip the throttle like a shifter car or racing motorcycle, or the Genius Garage car with the dock box. Even though the Genius Garage car has a pattern, I can just breathe the throttle, no clutch on the upshifts. That's not a big thing. So right now I'm just kind of feeling out what the gear ratios are like in this car, because it's got 6 gears compared to the car I was accustomed to this year having, oh geez, that didn't go well, having 4 gears. All right, so let's figure this out. We're in 2nd gear. You know, now. The biggest thing, transition, going to a simulator, that's, I think, is weird for anybody doing it in real life. There's no sense of motion. So your inner ears are doing nothing. I'm just sitting here. There's no G's. I have very little feedback in terms of the audio and all of that tactile aspect of life. You know, frankly, in a real race car, your eyeballs are just to gather information. You don't drive based upon your eyeballs. You drive based upon your butt. And right now, my butt's not doing anything but sitting here. So it makes it trickier, but this is cool. It's mapped really well. I like the undulations. You start feeling like you're actually there, which makes it a lot of fun. And I totally blew this braking zone because I was yapping my big dumb yap. God. Okay. And I killed the engine, of course. All right, real life. Let's see if this works. What, fire? It did fire. All right, can I get out of this gravel trap? This is like my VinWiki story, except this is a simulator and not real life. Oh, wow, that's kind of getting my vertigo going. Okay, so if I did it going that way, let's see if we do this going this way. Yeah, kind of doing like a pit maneuver. Okay, well, this is embarrassing, but real. So my thought here is, I think the programming is awesome, but I think if you're going to get the most out of it, you're gonna need a lot more audio, so your ears have something to work with. You really feel it, know it. You can hear the tires in simulator programs. The sound of the tires gives you a lot to know about where your grip is, front or rear. Also, the sense of motion, everything going on, so that you don't just get going like this. I remember years ago, I think it was Grand Prix Legends or something like this. This is like, I don't know, 90s or early 2000s. Overslowing this turn 1 here, whatever. So anyway, Grand Prix Legends was an amazing game. Had a lot. It was really cool of simulating the 1960s before aerodynamics of Grand Prix or Formula One, and I loved it. But I didn't have good like interface, my pedals, my steering wheel, and all. And no matter how hard I tried to get its interface, it just didn't make sense. So I never really got to enjoy that game because those cars are hard enough to control, let alone if you've got garbage steering wheel and pedals. So I think the note that gives you is if you want to be doing a simulator, you got to have pretty good hardware and reality for you to utilize. Otherwise, not only are you probably not going to have nearly as much fun with it, it's just going to suck. You're not going to learn anything. And if you're not learning anything and you're not having fun, then what's the point, right? All right. Well, and I think the sound is a huge part of this, so it's on really quiet for me. So that kind of is a drag, but I am enjoying using this and seeing what it's like. I think the biggest thing that I'm taking away from this right now is just that if I would have utilized this simulator before going to the track in real life this year, I bet you I would have been at least 1 or 2 test sessions ahead of the game in terms of hitting my points and remembering it. So that's a majorly big topic that is of value to simulators. You know, the other thing is race cars are idiotically expensive, and let's face it, they're dangerous even today. And I know I did that thing saying they're not dangerous, and everybody got mad at me because I said if you're really pushing the envelope, it's going to be dangerous and you better be okay with it, which is all true. But there is value to getting to have this kind of fun, being a car guy, getting to go racing, even if it is the virtual world, and enjoying that. So we're all car guys just the same, whether you're doing this for real and doing 180 miles an hour and it's 120 degrees in there and it's dangerous, or whether you're having a great time at home in your living room. Still car guys, and I think that's a great takeaway. So I'm liking this. I think it's weird to use paddle shifters and having to toe heel downshifts, but you know, it's another technique to learn. And when you learn, different techniques, whatever they are, even if I'll never do this in real life, getting the opportunity to do this and try something new just helps my mind explore new possibilities. And I don't mean that as just meaningless platitude BS. It's kind of like a little kid, right? Or a juvenile animal. You know, they're exploring all the time their boundaries. I mean, it's like a bird learning to fly, basically, right? So if I have to try new things and explore boundaries to make it work in the simulated world, then that is going to make me somewhat better when I'm going to ride, fly, or drive something new in real life one day. So that's a good value. And plus, it keeps things interesting. Maybe it's not my favorite way to do it, but it's interesting. So, you know, I'm trying reasonably hard, but I'm also talking to you guys, kind of exploring it. So I know that some people out there are going to be like, well, your line sucks and you didn't do this. Well, okay, man, I know, but I'm kind of doing some other things here right now. And the simulator is a great opportunity to try some things I wouldn't have normally have done. So in a minute, I think when we get to some footage from the real car from a couple of months ago, you'll see how that went as well. And frankly, even when it came time to race day, there were some things that I saw I certainly could have done better. And getting the opportunity to run a good simulator like this, even with just a reasonable force feedback wheel with some 2x4s to hold it together, would have been helpful. And this is pretty fun. So, you know, all right, one more lap, and then let's get out the footage from the real car and the real race, see what that's like. I have to admit, it'd be a lot more fun if there were cars out on the track and, you know, more scenery and all that. But I'm going to tell you, there is no substitute to real life. The simulators is kind of fun, but I just never grew a great love for just doing this. I love doing something for real. I love feeling G-forces, heat, cold, wind, and frankly, if there's nothing risked, then is an envelope really being pushed? And the answer could be no, in a sense, because there's lots of envelopes to push where you're not at risk. And you don't do things just to be risky. But if you're truly pushing the envelopes in real life, there's going to be some risk. And that, I'll be honest, is exciting because it means you're really doing something. So, right now I'm not really doing something other than driving a simulator badly. Will it fire? Oh, what do you know? It fired. All right. Let's see. All right. It is weird, very weird, driving a simulator like this. It did much better in that prototype car in Mid-Ohio. But this I could get used to, and this is great fun. I think the simulator, what makes it so exciting is if you've got just great audio and great, well, I mean, the Oculus Rift is fantastic. I can look around, I can see stuff, I can look over here. Let's see, maybe I should look around more for you guys. Looking around. See, isn't this neat? Yeah, this is pretty darn good, But there's no substitute for actually being at Elkhart Lake, going to the parties, meeting people, having fun, sharing laughs, you know, busting your finger with a wrench, getting things ready, because that's a huge sense of accomplishment. You just can't, I just don't find the same here. I mean, obviously this takes great skill. It'd be a lot of fun. But no substitute in the real world. So I hope if you guys are watching this, perhaps next year, I'm not sure what races I might be involved with regard to Genius Garage, or who knows, even on my own. But I hope that you will come visit and hang out, because we can share that experience together and have a little bit of fun. All right, well, that was Road America. Yeah, it's great fun. You know, and here's the other thing about Road America. So there's a helicopter over there, Life Flight, no less. This is a long pit straight. And when you come off the track and you're in all your Nomex, your heart is beating 150 beats a minute, maybe even, you know, more, depending on how hard you're working and how hot it is. And you come into the pits and suddenly you don't have all that air movement. Oh God, that about gave me a vertigo right there. Ugh, God. I'm not having the G-forces, so my brain and inner ear is expecting G-forces, but I'm just gonna dump the clutch. Is it in first? Weird. Anyway, my brain was expecting the G-forces and they weren't there, and then there's the disconnect between your senses and what your brain expects, and it's like, kind of nauseous. So that is a weird thing to get over in the simulator world. But I hope you guys will come visit sometime. You shut up. Future when Genius Garage is out, we'll have a lot of fun together, even when the students are doing that. But what say we go get out the video of the real car and talk about that? See you guys there.
Okay guys, let's go over the real footage from Genius Garage's 1988 IMSA Riggins chassis Corvette here at Road America. The race is just about to start. We're hopping right into gridding up, and we're gonna get the green flag and go. I'm not gonna do the whole race so as to completely bore all of you, but a similar amount of time, and let's go over it. So here we go. All right, so coming up right on there, you see one of the Robertson's 4 GTs on the left that raced at Le Mans. A lot newer car, a lot zoomier. We got a Camaro a little later ahead there. Also an Oldsmobile, 2 frame cars up ahead, and here we go. So we're real bunched up. You got a lot of cars, not much room between that Camaro in front and the wall, and you got the Robertson's 4 GT right there head to head on our left. Unfortunately, we got the inside coming in at turn 1. Could try going diving up in there, but we're not much tarmac and a lot of marble, so not a good move. But that Robertson car is sticking really well on the outside, so I'm just keeping it planted on the inside. I'm going to be on the inside again. If you can keep it going there, it'll be all right. So the Corvette, big twitchy under braking, getting all kinds of sideways cold tires with people. Unfortunately, you make it stick on the inside. The Robertson's 4 GT has fallen back. That was kind of the goal, sort of the inner thing. Let's go, baby. A little pat on the race car going there. You may have noticed have a bit of a short shift, about 7 grand going into 4th, and the cars ahead are pulling ahead a little bit. Reason being, I noticed this turn 5 is going to be real slow, a lot of traffic going to check up, and we've caught up. Not just the time differential, but caught right up. So really didn't want to be in that position of throwing our car up with the riffraff, because you know if somebody messes up like that Camaro did earlier, it could be a cascade effect and you get a big pileup, so we don't want that. The Oldsmobile guy, don't know what the heck this line is, slowing us up a little bit, but not enough room to reasonably make a pass, and that's kind of silly, but he's all over the place. So let's see what happens here. Okay, braking, we're going to come up on the inside. We got some wheels in, but this guy, boom, cuts right in over it, forces me over the Sawtooth Rumble, banging the chassis off it. You can see I'm a little frustrated by moving ahead. We've got a Roush Mustang that seems to be slowing down, breaking down, coming bombing around him on the outside of the carousel here. But unfortunately, this Oldsmobile, because of that idiot move that put me over the curb in that Roush Mustang, he's gained some ground on it. So let's see if they can catch up. But the kink here, Road America, very scary. You got to get it exactly right. Not because the walls are so darn close, but if you get it wrong and something big happens, it's going to be very ugly. A lot of cars got totaled there. And a lot of people tell me that they saw God in that corner.
Anyway, here we go. Hard braking down in the second gear, hit that apex. We're already catching up to this Oldsmobile, so making some ground. Road America is a brutal track on both drivetrains and especially brakes. You will absolutely test your brakes to the limit. You're talking big speeds on a road course, slowing way down. We're right up on the Oldsmobile. Dive in there. Try to go for a little bit of a late apex. Hopefully I can make it stick and be planted. Here we are. So yeah, that Oldsmobile's got power. I bet he's got us just a little bit on power. I was up his butt there, and you know, get a bit of a draft effect, but he's still pulling us. So it does seem like he's got a horsepower thing, but we are absolutely hauling to the moon, about 8,000 RPMs, and that's for an early 90s small block displacement bow tie block. So don't want to blow it up. I spent a lot of time building that with students in-house, put a lot of care into that with them and enjoyed it. So maybe not as perfect as some factory, but I think we did a fine job. And you see me patting the car every now and then. It's an old girl, a lot of love that went into it. So, you know, it's probably pointless for me to be taking my hand off and doing that, but really wanted to go, and, you know, as a good driver, you really think of your car. So here we are trying to gain some ground. This Oldsmobile coming up. Now, it's only been a couple of laps, but Road America was brutal. The temperature ambient, somewhere in the 90s easily. Track temp could be approaching 120 degrees, potentially more. The cockpit gets brutally warm, especially if you stop, because then you lose the airflow of the one duct you can see there under the dash blowing onto. Of course, you got full Nomex, tight seat, no cool suit, so it starts getting brutal. You'll notice a little flex of the hands there, requires a lot of muscle, and when you're on the straightaway, you take a moment just to move your fingers so you don't get any cramping, anything going. You got to think about that. You got to think about your car the whole time. You know, in a simulator, you really don't get to do that. But here we are. We're right about 4,800 RPMs here. It looks like the third gear coming through the carousel. That's nice because you're where the engine's kind of coming on cam, going to make some power coming out of it. That was a bit of a short shift, about 6,900 RPMs in the fourth gear coming into the kink. Being reasonable. You know, there's still just a little bit on the table. You see me shake my head. Wasn't quite happy. Probably could have got through there faster. And that Oldsmobile is hauling the mail up there. He's really gotten it sticking well. But you stay at it and you keep going. Now, our car, with the nature of the brakes, these are big old steel brakes. It's got the wide 5 hubs from the 80s on it. And we are really running it hard, but of course you leave just a little bit there because you don't want to absolutely just destroy your car for nothing if it's not there. Also, with how darn hot it is, if you run it that hard, you're going to overheat your tires. It's going to get greasy and they're going to go away. Look at me, getting close to that Oldsmobile. He just put some wheels off and I want it. Foot flat to the floor. Here we go. Sail, come on, Corvette, go! Road America is over 4 miles a lap. It is the longest road racing track in America. That's why it taxes the engine and brakes so hard. And when you're on the straightaways for a long time, you're looking at your gauges, you're thinking, you're hoping that engine stays together. You got your foot down and you're going, go baby, go. Did I get that extra half of 1 mile an hour coming out of the corner, and hoping you can get the guy there. In testing earlier, you'll notice the 3 bars here on the windshield. The windshield's made out of polycarbonate. It's flexible, it's a very strong material, really good for a windshield of a race car. But one of those bars, the one in the middle, I believe, actually came loose during practice at the top, shifted over and fell down. It wasn't a problem. But at any speed over, I would say about 130 miles an hour, that windshield started to cave in. So I reached up and was actually able to grab the bar, pull it up, and hold it there for the remaining aspect of that test we did earlier. Of course, we fixed that. It was no big deal. And it wasn't really a safety thing. It was just disconcerting because of the nature of how the windshield stays on. So here we are. It does get bumpy. It is brutal. It is viciously, horrendously hot. I really cannot tell you how hot these old 80s closed cockpit cars can be. You know, even being a fit younger guy, I say younger, there's older drivers out there, it's still, frankly, pushing the boundary of being dangerously hot. But I won't go into that because I don't want to get crap. Maybe we ought to get a cool suit in it, though. That would be intelligent. But, you know, the tires and the brakes, you really got to pay attention to that. If you keep driving at 100% like you do on the first few laps, they're going to go away and you're going to overdrive the car. You're going to exacerbate the heat of tires and all. But as you can see, we are gaining on that Oldsmobile a little bit. You've got to let the attrition play. Even in a short sprint race like this, you have to let the attrition come to me and be making absolutely good decisions. I think you can get an idea of how brutal this is. Look at the shaking of the head. You know, even with neck support and being strong and fit with this, that amount of violence and shaking is what's going through your human body with that, how brutal hot it is. I mean, that is feeling like a boxing match. Let's go, go, go. I mean, you gotta hope. Here it is, foot flat to the floor, and you just hope that guy didn't get as good as exit as you got coming off the corner. But you're gaining, you're gaining, you're gaining. I think we've left the Robertson's Ford GT behind us, which quite frankly I was pretty darn happy with, because Road America, huge steep competition for Genius Garage this past year, and our late 80s rigged and chassis IMSA Corvette with the small block is very period correct. So we really didn't have a shot at winning it. There was a lot of very fast late 90s, 2000s Trans Am cars pumping the small block 2 engine, which, as you might know, making up to 900 horsepower. Ours on a good day is probably 680, 700 if you want to tout a bigger number. But we just don't have the horsepower the others do. So that really hurts you at Road America. Road America is not a track that I would have a whole lot of fun driving a small displacement car. The straights are really long. And people say, any car is fun, hooray! Well, yeah, I guess, but you need horsepower for Road America, trust me on that one. So it's getting pretty cool, but we are getting closer to that Oldsmobile, and I'm giving it the best reasonable try to stay up there without overdriving the car for the brakes, which frankly are really getting taxed hard on this with the cooling. Also, you can already see the oil temperatures starting to get up to, what do I see here? 240 degrees, which isn't too hateful. Water temperature is pretty reasonable, right about 180 degrees, but it does start to get hotter and hotter, so you pay attention to that. Our oil pressure is a little lower than I'd like to see it, but it's going to be just fine. It looks like it, actually it's about 60, 70 PSI right there, which is perfectly reasonable, perfectly fine. But the motor's got a little bit of time on it, you don't want to blow it up. You don't want to bang the wrong downshift or screw something up. And that goes to show where the big difference is between simulator racing and real racing. There's lots of consequences. Speaking of consequences, that car that just went by was a McLaren. I'm not sure if that was a P1. No, it was something a little bit lower, but it was a newer McLaren supercar. And then this guy, I don't know what the heck he's doing, blowing by him in Mach 2. And then this Oldsmobile's checking way up. Turns out there's a yellow flag, but I don't know why he's slowing down so much. Come on, man, let's catch up to the rest of the field. But the McLaren spun off in a rather dangerous place inside of the corner on the exit, coming out of, is it Canada Corner? I think it's Canada Corner, Road America back there. So it looks like we're going to a yellow. Don't know why, but it's an opportunity for everybody to catch up. It's also an opportunity for the car, the oil, and the water temperature to potentially cool down just a little bit, and frankly for me as the driver. So when you're a driver in the simulator, you have to be on point perfect the whole time. There's some amazing simulator drivers out there from all around the world. That's something I think is absolutely amazing about simulators. I mean, there could be a 12-year-old kid, theoretically speaking, in, I don't know, Japan or Italy kicking your butt. And that's really neat, and that's something I think is so wonderful about the internet, is because people, you can have the opportunity to kind of be discovered, whether you're a singer or maybe a racer or just some sort of talent, where in the olden days you didn't have that, so to speak. So great thing about the internet, but there's just no replacement for actually getting out there and doing it in real life, even if you have to build a car forever to do it. If there's nothing risked, there's nothing gained, they say. And it just is such a wonderful accomplishment to build a machine with the team of your peers and do something amazing and come together as a team and field the car in a race and overcome your challenges of building. I mean, every single one of those rivets, screws, gauges, I mean, we all put that in together. So here we are, and that means something, and you got to put it out there. Coming together as a team for the setup of the car, the driver support, and make good decisions, taking care of the health, the interface of the human with the machine, the man in the machine coming together. It's all amazing part of that. So here we are. It's this caution lap's gone on for some time, but that's great because when they restart it, we're right on that Oldsmobile. So now is the opportunity that you really have to manage the car, the tire temp, the brake temperature, and yourself. You need your tire temperatures to stay up. If you just totally chill out, they could theoretically get too cool. But if you overdrive it and keep it hot, so you really got to pay attention to those things. When traffic checks up like crazy like that, the race engines, they're pissed off. They're hot. Maybe they don't idle. Like, you got to keep it running as the driver. And if you get way down low in the RPMs, this engine runs like garbage at 3,000 RPMs or lower. It runs crappy under 4,000 RPMs. It's that kind of motor with that kind of cam.
So, you know, it runs, but you're not going to be able to pull. So you're slipping the clutch. You got a multi-disc, tiny clutch puck that's just sort of light switch. He doesn't like that crap. It'll chatter. It's nasty. So you've got to manage all these things going on and paying attention to goobers that are checking up hard. You know, there have been plenty of race car drivers plowing to the back of other people that were being goofy on warm-up. And you got to keep yourself loose. You got to worry about your hands and your fingertips. Keeps your feel up. And also pay attention that your rhythm is now completely off from not going fast. That was the kink. We're going in the back. What do we got here? Well, I'll just cut to the chase. That McLaren that spun off, I don't know what in the heck. You know, the problem with the McLaren, first of all, I don't know why the guy spun, because I don't think that's that hard of a car to drive. But he spun, and fortunately he kept it off the wall, but clearly either couldn't restart or was probably having a difficulty with the systems relating to the paddle shifting or the clutch or some absurd thing like that. The car was dead in the water. So dead in the water that caused a full course caution on a 4-mile lap course. And frankly, this race ended up ending in caution, which is really disappointing. I'm not knocking that driver. I'm actually knocking that kind of car in a sense, because something that's sort of neat, this old school Corvette we have, this 2-frame, carbureted, rough and tumble, hot, brutal, total pain in the butt, right? You know, if you spin it off, it's just going to restart, and, you know, your right hand sticks it in gear because your stupid hand's connected directly to mechanical linkages. And I don't know what this Ford GT, why he stopped right there. Maybe they're buddies or something. So that was that, guys. But I think Road America did the right thing going to the full course, especially being a vintage race. It was disappointing that it ended in caution, but you know, everybody was safe and sound, and you know, who wants to end a race in caution? That was really disappointing. Like to think we would have had an opportunity to catch that Oldsmobile, especially if it would have gone green for at least a lap. But maybe not the most exciting race in the world, but it was brutal. The heat was nasty at Road America. It can get very hot there in July. So that's something you really got to look after, and it took everything, you know, we could to make sure that car stayed cool, to the point where we took out the screen from the inlet to the radiator, just because that screen, when you add up the surface area of it and how much it's going to slow down the airflow or potentially create something of a boundary layer of different speeds, we weren't getting the cooling we wanted. So we actually had to take that screen out, and we made a deflector, so if any marbles were shooting into the inlet, they wouldn't shoot straight into the radiator. But we opened it up a lot and that helped cooling there. Our oil coolers is a oil to water heat exchanger in the radiator, so it's even more important that the radiator can flow well for that as well. So we took care of that. We also had to be very careful of the ducts that cool the front brakes. One of them popped off in testing. Could feel the brakes getting funky because that one was overheating. And when we got in the pits, we immediately jacked it up, got the wheel off, the wheel and tire. The wheel and tire were blazing hot from it. And what we did is we kept rotating that rotor so that it wouldn't cool down at a different rate where the pad was, and then warp for the race. So, you know, these are all little things where you really got to hustle as a team, make sure everything's right. And it was a great thing for Genius Garage. But I hope you guys enjoyed riding along again and just getting a feel for running a simulator at home versus doing it in real life, and had a little bit of fun. There is no substitute for real life. Nothing risked, nothing gained. When you come up against adversity as an engineer, a builder, a mechanic, or a driver, and a team, it's overcoming that adversity in a common goal and competing with other people, and then being triumphant, winning, or finishing better than you might have thought, and continually moving up, which is where so much of the reward is. Of course, there's a lot of reward in doing a simulator right, but I find a simulator a great tool to augment doing things in real life. But in the meantime, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and that you will like, comment, and subscribe. See you guys next time.